The Kitt Peak National Observatory Visitor Center is a nonprofit through its parent organization, AURA, the Association of Universities for Research in Astronomy.
Hi, this is Robert from Kitt Peak Visitor Center. In an earlier video, we looked at open star clusters as often showed objects in our nightly observing program and dark sky discovery programs at Kitt Peak. Those open clusters are beautiful, and many make for pleasant observing with binoculars. In fact, many can be spotted with the unaided eye. But they are not the only type of cluster in the night sky. There is another type with a much different nature from the open clusters. Those would be the great globular clusters. Globular clusters are to open clusters what senior citizens are to young adults. Globular clusters have been around much longer and seen a great deal more. Globulars such as M13 in Hercules and M3 in Canis Venatici are composed of hundreds of thousands of ancient stars. These stars are held in the cluster by gravity and interact continuously. The stellar density at the heart of these clusters is so great that stars could be as much as 1,000,000 times closer together than in our part of the Milky Way. And all those stars could be packed into a spherical glob anywhere from 50 to 450 light-years across. Just try to imagine being an inhabitant on a planet orbiting a star at the heart of a globular cluster. Given the stellar density, what would your night sky look like? Think of stars brighter than any in our night sky and just light months instead of light years away. The night sky would be ablaze with starlight. The distances to most globular clusters are much greater than to the open clusters we see dotting the night sky. Among the closest are M4 in Scorpius and NGC 6397 in Era, both at least 5,500 light-years distant. M13 and M3 are 26,000 and 30,000 light-years distant, respectively. One of the more distant globular clusters from Earth, but still easily visible in a moderate telescope, is M79 in Lepus at 41,000 light-years, another favorite of the winter nighttime programs. What's interesting about M79 is that it may well have been captured from a smaller dwarf galaxy, called the Canis Major Dwarf, that is being shredded by the much larger and more massive Milky Way. The undisputed king of the globulars, Omega Centauri, contains roughly 10 million stars and is thought by astronomers to be the remnant of a smaller galaxy that was disrupted by tidal forces from the Milky Way. Omega Centauri is the only globular cluster that can be seen clearly with the unaided eye. Watch for it low in the southern sky in the spring. Globular clusters inhabit the halo of the Milky Way, orbiting around the galactic center, unlike the open clusters that lie in the disk of the galaxy. There are about 150 known globular clusters orbiting our galaxy. We also find them in other galaxies as well. These collections of ancient stars seem to be a regular facet of galaxy formation. So how do we know the ages of these clusters? Well, when we look at the individual stars, we find that generally they are of less mass than our Sun. We know that the Sun has a lifespan of 10 billion years, so if the cluster has been around long enough for the solar mass stars to have burned out, it must be at least 10 billion years old. There are some stellar exceptions, though. Some stars in the cluster are called blue stragglers. These stars appear to be larger, hotter, and younger than they should be given the age of the cluster. It is thought that blue stragglers result from mergers of stars. Remember how crowded it is in these clusters. When stars collide, they form a new star with greater mass and a hotter temperature, and thus are bluer in color. When you observe these stunning clusters, you might think at first glance that they all look rather alike. But on closer inspection, you'll find that they all have their own peculiarities, their own characters, if you will. Some are a bit elongated, some have denser cores than others, and some have stellar tendrils radiating from the heart of the cluster. Some may even have dark patches in them. But they all look spectacular when viewed through even an 8-inch telescope. Through our 16 and 20-inch visitor telescopes at Kitt Peak, the view is just grand. Great globular clusters. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Robert from the Kitt Peak Visitor Center, and I hope to see you on the mountain. But until then, keep those stars in your eyes.
The Kitt Peak Visitor Center brings the science of astronomy to the public through exhibits, daytime tours, and nighttime observing programs. This mission is funded solely by your patronage and generous donations, and we thank you for your continued support. See us online at visitkittpeak.org. The National Observatory is located southwest of Tucson on land of the Tohono O'odham Nation.